when you're dividing polynomials, again, you can't just cancel out terms here. You can only cancel out factors. So negative 81 does not have a factor of x, so you can't just cancel x's over here. They have to work out everywhere. So we're going to need to use long division to do this. However, since we only have an x to the fourth here and an x to the first here, we need to rewrite this polynomial including other coefficients of x to the third, the second, and the first power. So we would rewrite this as we're going to take x minus 3, and we will be dividing this polynomial by x minus 3. We're going to rewrite x to the fourth plus 0x to the third plus 0x to the second plus 0x to the first minus 81. In order to do the long division, you need to have a space for every exponent, and we looked at that before, how they all need to line up. Now we would go through the process. So we would take x to the fourth divided by x, that's going to be x to the third, and it's going to go in the x to the thirds column. Now we'll distribute x to the third times all of this. X to the third times x is x to the fourth. That's identical, and it has to be, so we know we're on the right track. X to the third times negative 3 would be negative 3x to the third. Again, notice how all my x to the thirds are lined up. After I multiply, I'm going to subtract, so that means I'm really changing the sign of both of these terms here. X to the fourth minus x to the fourth is 0, and it has to be, so I know I'm doing the right thing. 0x to the third plus 3x to the third is positive 3x to the third. After I subtract, I bring down plus 0x squared. After I bring down, I will repeat the process and now divide positive 3x to the third by x. Well, x goes into 3x to the third 3x squared times. So positive 3x squared, all my x squareds are lined up. Now I'll multiply. 3x squared times x is positive 3x to the third. That's identical, and it needs to be, so we're good. Positive 3x squared times negative 3 would be negative 9x squared. My x squareds are all lined up. I'm in good shape. Next, I need to subtract, which means I'm really changing the signs of both of these terms. 3x to the third minus 3x to the third is 0, and it has to be, so I know I'm doing well. Next, 0x squared plus 9x squared is just plus 9x squared. And now I can bring down my plus 0x. Again, that's to the first. Now I'll repeat the process and divide positive 9x squared by positive x, and that's going to go in positive 9x times. 9x times x is going to be 9x squared. That's identical, and it has to be. Positive 9x times negative 3 is negative 27x. Notice how, again, all my x squareds are lined up, all my x's are lined up, so I'm in good shape. Next, I need to subtract, which means I'm going to change the sign of both terms here. 9x squared minus 9x squared is 0, and it better be. 0 plus 27x is just positive 27x, and now I can bring down negative 81. Last step here would be to repeat, so I'm going to go up and divide 27x by x, and that's going to be positive 27. Now I'll distribute that. 27 times x is positive 27x. It's identical, and it has to be. Positive 27 times negative 3 is negative 81. After I subtract, that means I need to change both of these signs. 27x minus 27x is 0. Negative 81 plus 81 is also 0. I've finished everything, and I've brought everything down, and I wind up with a 0, so I know I am finished. If you wanted to check this using multiplication, it would be a little tedious, but you would multiply using the FOIL. You would use x minus 3 times all of this. You'd multiply x times x to the third. That would get you x to the fourth. X times positive 3x squared. And you'd go through the whole entire process, and things would cancel out, and you would wind up with x to the fourth minus 81.